Hello? What's up, everybody? What up, what up? You guys hear me fine? How's the sound? What's up, Catherine? How y'all doing? Okay. I'll give it a minute for people to come in. Today is gonna be an exciting one, to be honest. I like the concept that we have for today. It's a little bit exciting. I already spoiled it in the Discord. Hold that. Whoop. There we go. What's up, Kervin? How y'all doing? You guys excited for today's stream? It's gonna be a nice one. Modeling is always fun. So let me get in frame a little bit more. Okay. Glad to see people showed up today. Gotta go to your boot camps, gotta get that grind in. Okay, people. There might be some experienced artists among us, and they're gonna want to get to it. So if you're one of those people, I posted this concept in the 3D Bootcamp chat on the Discord. So if you want to get working on it, you can go look there, start. What's up, Ander? Garrett? Okay, so quick introduction. Let me go on the big screen so you can see me. I am Onwa. I'm gonna be your instructor for today. I do these boot camps every Wednesday for the people that are new. And today's theme is gonna be modeling. And we might poke at some other stuff too, like lighting, and maybe put a material on the thing. We'll see about that. But today's theme is modeling, and it will be about 1.5 hours, and I'll just take you through the very basics of it. And even if you're completely new to Blender, I'll kind of introduce you. And if there is anyone that's completely new to Blender, let me know in the chat, and I can make sure that none of us are lost along the way on this epic journey of 1.5 hours of modeling. And also let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet or whatever. It can also be a little bit difficult to tell. Okay. I am assuming a lot of people were here last time too, though. Okay. So I hope there's someone in the chat that's never been in Blender before, because I'll go through the very basics of it to start off with. And you know, if you have done basics of Blender before, feel free to go ahead and start doing a little bit of stuff on your model. That's completely okay. I'll catch up to you all at some point. Okay, so opening up Blender, what you're going to be met with is your viewport. This should be what your Blender looks like by default if you just open it up. Okay, and I hope if you're new to Blender that everything worked out and you're here. If you need some time, let me know. But I just assume that when people are quiet, it's because they're following along and being due diligent as students. Okay, so middle mouse is orbiting. Okay, this is our viewport. This is where everything we do in 3D is gonna happen. Shift middle mouse to pan around. And then you can scroll on your scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Okay, and you can use all these 3 hotkeys together to kind of get around your scene. If you ever get lost, you can press the home button on your keyboard to go back home, so you can see all the stuff that used to be on your screen once upon a time. And that's pretty much that's the basics for navigation, right? You don't need much more than that. You have your outliner in the top right. I think maybe I should turn the music down a little bit more. Yeah, you have your outliner in the top right. This is where you can select all the objects in your viewport if you're not just left clicking them in your scene. If you ever lose something, you can select, there's a cube right here, and then you can find it that way. Down here you have some more advanced stuff. Underneath is a timeline, that's for animation. We're not going to be using that today, but it's there. Okay, up here you have all the different tabs for all the different things you can do in Blender. Today we're just going to be modeling. And to start out with, let's get into the very basics of doing stuff in 3D. How do we move things around? How do we make them look a certain way? Well, we have the gizmos to the left here, and sure enough, one is named move because you use it to move around with. What's up, Itmations? I'll just be going over the very basics. I think I remember your name from a lot of the other bootcamps, so you might be familiar with this. But if there's someone sitting out there that's completely new, I'll be going through it. Hello, Clarissa. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so the move tool, very self-explanatory. Just move stuff around, and you can use the arrows, or you can use a hotkey called G. And you might be seeing me use another hotkey a lot right now, which is Control Z. It basically just undoes what you did the moment before. So Control Z, G to move stuff around. You can move on the axis. You see the axis in the top right here, X, Y, Z. So you can click X and then G, or G and then X, sorry. G, Y, G, Z, and you can move around that way. Okay. Once you start moving stuff around in Blender, there's this little tab here that might be closed for you, but there's a little arrow here. You open that up, and then you have a bunch of information about your object. So if I move this to the right here, you'll see the X location is gonna change. And you can actually move it up here as well, or you can put this to 0 and it'll move back to the center. Okay, and there's a bunch of other stuff. Rotation, exact same controls. Hotkey for that is R, and you can also click RX, RZ, RY, and you start rotating on these axes. If you want a really smart little Blender UI thing, it is if you want to reset all of these, you can left click and drag and then click 0 on your keyboard and 0 them all out. Okay, scale, all the same. You can click up here, or you can use your hotkeys. SZ, SY, SX, and you can scale different ways. Okay. And once you start getting comfortable with all these hotkeys, you can start using them all together, and you can like rotate stuff, scale it a little bit, move it maybe over here, and you can duplicate it. Shift D to duplicate. And then you can start making whatever it is that you want. But of course, we're not gonna be making stuff with just cubes. So at this point, usually what I do is we go straight into the modeling because we don't wanna bore everybody with information. So concept for today is right here. And believe it or not, we can get a lot of stuff done with all these super basic tools that we just learned. Shouldn't be too hard for anybody to remember, but if you do need some kind of something that makes sense, do let me know. And this is a thing I say in the beginning of every stream. If you have a question on your mind, there's probably a bunch of other people in the stream that have the same question in their mind. So if you do ask it in the chat, you're doing everybody a favor, because that's what the stream is about. It's about people learning stuff, right? That's why we do it live. So if you do have any question, go ahead and ask, please. That would be very helpful. Okay. So a thing to look out for is whenever we're gonna start working from a concept, it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's so many things going on, right? So a way to work is to break it down into the most basic, largest shapes that we see. And so obviously this is a light tower. So this big cylinder form for the light tower is probably a good place to start with. So we had this cube and we learned how to scale it, rotate it, and move it around. But yeah, what if we need something other than a cube? Well, fret not, we can just click this cube and click delete. Oh, I'm covering this, maybe I should put it over here. Can't do that as well. Put it up here. Okay. So maybe make it a little bit smaller right here. So we can delete our cube and then we can add something else. We can add a different type of primitive shape. Right here in the add menu, you have a bunch of different options. What we're working with right now is what's called meshes, right? And in here you have a cube, a plane, circle, bunch of stuff, but we also have a cylinder. And that's kind of what we're going to use for our basic shape, okay? So we can click S and then Z to scale it up. And now we have an elongated cylinder for our lighthouse. We're getting somewhere. Well, I mean, it's a beginning, right? That's kind of how it is in every journey. Gotta go for it, the beginning. So let's say we have this for now. Let's try to put down the little house too. So we can go back to our add menu and then mesh, then add a cube, or you can click Shift A if you want to be quick about it. If you're one of those people that want to go super fast. So right here, added the cube, move it up next to it, maybe scale it out, make it a little bit elongated, scale it down a little bit. Okay, so we can keep going like this, but at this point you might have noticed that, like, wait a minute, on what? Like, okay, sure, we put down a cylinder, but this cylinder is like, it doesn't really look like that cylinder. You know what I mean? Like, those are two different cylinders. Like, don't try to trick me. So yeah, that is true. The cylinder is super straight and we want to kind of give it a taper. So how do we do that, right? Like, we can't scale it, we can't rotate it or something to get that shape. We actually have to change the base mesh that's underneath all the scaling and rotation and moving around and stuff like that. And to do that in Blender, I'll take you through it. Pay attention now, everybody. You have to select the thing that you want to edit, and you see up here there's a little menu that says object mode. That means that we can select different objects right now. That's the mode we're in, but we don't want to select the object, we want to edit it. So click it and then you get the drop down, and then you can go into edit mode where you can actually edit your mesh. Super awesome. In 3D we have these things called points, and that is how we edit meshes. So you can left click a point, and then now you can move that point around. Wow. And we can actually change the shape this way. And if you wanted this kind of shape, we could now go back into the object mode. I did it quickly by clicking tab, but you can also use the drop down menu, and now our object looks different. We can scale it around. Obviously that's not the shape we want, so I'm going to Control Z a whole bunch. So you could go around. Basically what we want is we want to take this whole top part and scale it down a little bit, right, to taper it. So you could go around here and click Shift left click to select all these edges. Then you can imagine, or left click and drag to make a box selection. Scale it down, you could do that. That works fine. But you can also do something else. You can select a face instead of a corner. So up here you have these different modes. One is to select an edge, and you can move an edge. And you can move multiple edges if that's what you want. But you can also, whoops, did not mean to do that. Let's go back. You can also select a whole face. And a whole face is basically these planes that are connected by corners. Okay, 1, 2, 3 are the hotkeys. So these 4 corners make one plane. Okay, they make one face, and so you can move the face around now. But all these corners up here, they make this plane up here, this face, and then you can select that and scale that down. Okay, to get rid of this jagged look here, what you do is you right click and you click Shade Auto Smooth. And that's basically Blender's way of figuring out by itself, well, when should stuff look smooth and when should it look hard. Like there's a hard edge here. Before it basically made hard edges everywhere. So Shade Auto Smooth, right click, Shade Auto Smooth. Okay, great. And now we can go in. Let's say currently we're making this sort of part at the bottom here. And we figure, well, it probably needs to be a little bit less long. We can scale it down now. And guys, let me know if I go too quickly over something, I'm more than happy to go over stuff again. I hope everything is making sense so far. Let me know if something went too fast. Okay, so we have this kind of shape for the lighthouse. We can go back in, so I'm doing the hotkeys. So tab to go into edit mode. 1, 2, 3 to select edges, or points, edges and faces. Then we can S to scale it in. And you don't have to use the hotkeys, you can just use the, you can click stuff as well if that's what's comfortable to you. So let's keep moving. Let's make this cylinder shape on top here. So we need another cylinder, Shift A, go back in, put it in. Right click, shade auto smooth. And we kind of get that cylinder shape up here. Move it up a little bit. Great. Okay, we're going somewhere. Let's work on this balcony thing as well. I don't exactly know what this reference is. I think it's like a Lego set or something. So we can kind of loosely follow it and go with our own interpretation of it. That'll be fun as well. So we look at this and, well, what kind of shape is this actually? Well, we could take a cylinder perhaps and flatten it into a pancake. And we kind of get the right shape. Okay, so SZ, and you can scale it down. Let's say we wanted it to be a little bit longer or shorter, like flatter or not flat, So we don't want to scale it up and then scale it down, scale it up and all that. Instead, something you can do, which is really smart, is you can click S and then Shift Z. And what this does is it basically scales on the two other axes than the Z axis. So it's kind of like clicking SX and then SY. So you can kind of see how that works. But if we click S Shift Z, you can scale on those two axes at the same time. You don't have to, it's just a handy hotkey to know. And now we can go back in with edit mode. We can select the bottom face here. And we can scale it in a little bit to get that taper. And that is just looking beautiful. Now I'm gonna be excited to see what everybody has done this stream, because I kinda like this concept. If you want to scale the whole thing down, you can just left click and drag on multiple objects and then scale them. Or you can left click and shift left click something else, and you can scale them all together. Okay, so how about we make a little hat? I think we should go for another cylinder. You could think that maybe a cone would fit this shape better, but a cone has its own like set of issues when it comes to like rounding it out. So I would recommend going for a cylinder, because we can just go in with our edit mode and taper it off the way we want. Okay, we just get about the right shape. Okay, and of course, this shape, we're gonna be adjusting all that. Right now we're just going for like the main pieces. So let's keep moving. Okay, let's try to get these islands here. So Shift A, we're using a lot of cylinders today. Boom. Of course, you can just go ahead and duplicate with Shift D. Okay, to get like a quick one. This is kind of just to keep showing how to do these things, so people can follow along. Okay, maybe this thing is still a little bit too long. Okay, and then this island piece here, we can just Shift D it. Move it over here. Select everything. GZ to move it up. can go back in here, scale it, move it down. And maybe now we can make something that resembles the ocean. Okay, so you can do that. And if you get these jagged lines and you don't like that, something cool that you can do. This music is a little bit crazy. Let me hide this for a second. If you need to hide something, it's H, and unhide is Alt H. But this is just to demonstrate, if we make a cylinder right now and we scale it up, we kind of start seeing these like jagged lines here where our corners are. In Blender, when you make a new primitive, you get this little menu down here. And if you open it up, you have a bunch of settings. So you can increase the vertex count. So let's go for like 64 instead of before it was 32. And now when we scale it up, it should be less jagged. Oh, oops. Okay, so hold on, hide. Okay, we're kind of going with this so far. Okay. So now we have like a base thing to work off of, right? We sort of know where everything is supposed to go in our scene, more or less. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you need to move this, like flat to the ground, you can click this square and you can start moving it on 2 axes. Kind of see what that does. Or you can also click G and then Shift Z. Same as the scaling. Okay, let's get into the... Oh, actually, let's not get into the meat of it. Let's keep modeling with basic stuff. Because you know what? Just to prove a point, you can get so much stuff done with just some cubes. So, I am... Okay, there we go. So let's get this little balcony thing here out. Maybe we should change the shape of this a little bit. So we can kind of go something like that. And then we can adjust the shape more a little bit later. So we can go Shift D to duplicate this. And then you can click escape if you don't want to move it right away. And then we can move this out and then scale it down to make this balcony thing. And now you can rotate it. This house needs to be a little bit taller. Okay, just get like the base shapes. Can rotate it back a little bit. And now we can be smart and or lazy. Copy this box again. Then move it over. Scale it down. Make it a little bit more square and then scale it on the Z axis. Sort of getting that. Oh, this drop off is quite dramatic probably, so maybe we can do this a little bit. Oops. I'm getting confused because I flipped everything. Okay. We got our pillars in. How are people doing so far in the concept? Are you all getting anywhere with it? We can add this kind of shape at the bottom. So let us add a cylinder. And see how I'm kind of working from like the biggest shapes to now like a little bit smaller shapes. And you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing right now. You can sort of go with whatever it is that you feel like is the shape that you want to get down in your own project. I'm just going for what I think is like the big shapes right now, the easy to get ones. So there's this ring here, I see that, so I'll put it in. Now we can get this bridge. Perhaps we can copy this cube over. So I'm gonna take everything right here and just rotate it by 90 degrees because I'm more used to working from this angle. So there we go. Get something that resembles a bridge. And you know, we can always go back and add all the planks and all that. It just makes it way easier when we know where everything is supposed to go. It's kind of what they call a block out. If you come from like a drawing background or something, you can maybe compare it to like a sketch. So we can go ahead. So I'm using all the hotkeys here. You can also just use these gizmo options here if you don't remember all the hotkeys. That's totally fine too. So to make this pillar thinner, Shift Z to scale it on the other two axes. Duplicate it. You can just move it over. Just eyeballing stuff for now. Of course, there are good ways of doing stuff correctly and exact, but we're just having fun with it today, so we can go a little bit more with the eyeball kind of judgments. Okay, I don't know where that pillar went, but that's okay. Can go ahead and make these side panels here. You know, we're quickly getting something that looks like the scene. What's happening here? Okay, but at this point you might be wondering, well, what the heck? Like, what happens if we need something that is not a cone or a cube or any of the other options that we have, like the top here? We put a hat on it, but it doesn't really look like this specific hat. You know what I mean? So let's get into that. So it's important to kind of follow along here because these are basically the fundamentals of modeling that we're about to get into. How do I actually edit this shape further? Okay, so first things first, we're editing the shape, so we gotta go into edit mode. Okay. So we can't get this kind of rounded edge because there's nothing to pull or push here in the middle. So how do we go about that? Well, the solution is we need to add more points or more edges that we can pull and push on. Okay, and out here we have a bunch of different tools to do that. For example, one is called Inset Faces. So if I go back here, I select the top and then I click Inset Faces. It allows us to drag in, and then we get a bunch more faces that we can play with. And now all of a sudden we have this kind of corner on it. Okay, that is one option. Another one that we're going to use right now is called Loop Cut. And what it does is it makes a circle around your edges where you can cut into. Okay, so we just got a bunch more points here, and then we can scale those up. And now the shape is looking more closely to like what we're actually seeing, right? So how about we do a mix? So for the top here, we can do the inset. So the hotkey is I, and then you can inset, or you can click out here. So I to inset. And then we can use extrude to go up now. We can go up one more time, and now we can scale outwards. Then we can go up again. So now we're getting some kind of complex shape here. We can inset now. So you see I'm kind of trying to make this shape here. We can inset. So we can scale it in after we inset. And now instead of extruding up, I'm just gonna move it up. Then we get that. Okay. So I'm so used to doing this kind of stuff that I know all the moves already just by looking at the shape, right? And then we can extrude up after insetting. Oops, let's do it straight. And then extrude one more time just so we have something to play with. And scale out, extrude up, inset. And you can do this really quick if you know all the hotkeys, of course. Then you can move that up. Then you can extrude up. And then we kind of got that shape on top. Now for the very top piece, well, the easiest thing is to just add a sphere. Okay, shade auto smooth. You can go back in and we can just move this face up. Okay, there we go. So we still need to get that rounded shape. So what we can do is we can add the loop cut. So Control R is the hotkey, and I like that more because it's kind of, you know, you get a little bit more control of it right here. So you can put it in, and then you can scale it up. Then if you want to, you can put in another here. You can scale it up. If you want to be real nice about it, a trick you can use is, so you can select the whole loop with Alt and then left clicking. And then you can bevel it if you want to. And that kind of does that. But you can hit Control B and then you can scroll in your scroll wheel and then you get that. Okay. So you'd have to scale it up a little bit more. GZ, Control B. And we kind of get that shape. Now, for example, I see here that there's a big gap. What you can do is, like in a simple way, you can just left click and drag, like select all these things here, go to the other side, select around. Oops. Okay, I guess gotta click B. And then you can just move all those down if you need to. But instead of doing that, and then there's a bunch of edges that you can't really select, you can hit this little thing up here X-ray, I guess it's Alt Z by default. And now you can do a box select and it will select through everything. And then you can move it down. Okay, tab to go into object mode, move this sphere down. Okay, you can get their little rim by copying this. Scale Z. There we go. This whole thing on top is actually a little bit large. I'm not really happy about that. Oops. So we can just go in here. We can go into face select mode. Select all these faces. Scale it in a little bit. Scale down the sphere. Put it on. Okay. There we go. I mean, that is like the very fundamentals of modeling that you guys have gotten down right now, or the very sort of introductory basics. Everything that you learn from there on out will be like an extension on top of that, right? So how do you use those basics to go further with your modeling? And for now, we'll just take like a little bit of a step back, I think. And we'll sort of go ahead and maybe focus on these little beams that go out. So I'll put in a cylinder. And then we gotta rotate it. So we can do like R, Y, 90 degrees to rotate it flat. Or you can also just type in 90 out here. And then we move it in place. Then we can scale it out. Kind of get that. Maybe scale it out a little bit more. Something like that perhaps. And we can Shift D to duplicate it, Escape to let go of it, and then R and Z to rotate it. And we can rotate it by like 45 degrees maybe. Or RZ 66, Shift D, Escape, RZ 66. Then we kind of got that. Wait, did I do that wrong? I guess I did. But you can just rotate them to kind of fit them. They might also be a little bit big, so you can just select all of them and then scale them down if you need to. See, I made an extra. Okay, great. Let's keep it going, let's keep rolling. Okay, let's look at this roof here. Let's think about the shape. Well, it's kind of a cylinder, it's like half of a cylinder. So how about we start with an actual cylinder? RX90 to rotate it down. Go here, scale it down. So you guys kind of see that this is like a half cylinder right here. Right click, shade auto smooth to get that nice shading. So something like that, and then perhaps we could scale it up a little bit, something like that. Okay. But how do we cut off the bottom? Well, simple enough. We can select all these edges here if we want to, and then delete them. So let's do it the super primitive way, just for it to make sense for everybody. I selected all those edges, and then I hit D, or delete, sorry, and then click vertices. So vertices are all the points, or all the corners. Delete vertices. Okay. And then we're left with this. We can click Alt and left click to select like a side, like an edge loop is called. Alt left click. Okay. And then you can click F to fill that area out. Alt left click, F to fill that area out. And now you have like a half sphere that you can put on top. This thing is glitching out, I'm not really sure why. Okay, there we go. Okay, everybody, I hope everything is going well for you all. We can work on these beams right here. Shift D, scale it down. Can sort of move it up right there. This might look a little bit ugly, so we can stack that on top. We can use this for the door too, so let's move that out. So I duplicated it. Oops. So GY to move it, scale it down. Then we can actually go in here, and if we're smart about it, so if we move it out so we can see what we're doing, we can click Alt, and then down here it selects the whole edge border. Then click F to fill it up, and then we can go into face select mode and then extrude this down. So where is extrude? It's right here, or you can click E to extrude it down. Then you get that door shape. And if you're even more smart about it, you can actually select all these here, and then you can I to inset, and then E to extrude. You can extrude in. But if you were even more smart before you did that, you could have duplicated this door, save it for a second, and then do the same thing again. E, extrude in, use the store, put it inside, and just scale it down a little bit. We're not going for exact today. It's okay that there's like a little jankiness going on, that's fine. Okay, and then we got like a little door on it. Maybe we can make this border bigger, so Alt, left click with the face select mode on, and then we can like scale it up. Okay, and if you don't want it to scale on this axis, you can click S, Shift Y, then you can scale it like this. Now we can actually select these two and then Shift D to duplicate them and put them up here. Maybe scale it down, and then we basically have a primitive window. Okay, before we rotate it, we can add a cube to it. Just to make that little cross beam. You know, I'm not being super exact about all this stuff, you know, this is not for a production or anything like that, guys, it's just for us to have fun. So it's fine, it's okay, that stuff is a little bit wonky. So we can kind of get something that looks like that. You can move it up, rotate it, put it in. We can start adding some planks down here. Okay, we could be smart about it and use like the 3D cursor and all that. So I'll show it just for people to know about it, the fact that it exists, but I don't expect people to actually use it right now because this is more of like an advanced thing. But just to give an insight on how people might do this. So Shift S is the hotkey, and then you can put the 3D cursor, you see this little thing here, to whatever you have selected. And now if you go up here, you can transform with the 3D cursor. So I have this selected, but if I rotate it now, it's actually rotating around our 3D cursor. So we can rotate around this thing. So you can go Shift D and duplicate it. If you're not doing this whole 3D cursor thing, well, you can just, oops, hard to select that. You can just do it manually too, or do something else, that's fine. You can select multiple, so then we can select all of these, Shift D. Okay, good enough. Hope this is all making somewhat sense to people. Let's go ahead and work on this window up here. So we gotta go back into medium point as default. How are people doing? Is it like, are you all actually getting along? Because the stream has been very quiet. Let me know if you guys are able to work on your stuff and getting along fine. Just like to know that it's not totally off and things are making a little bit of sense for people. Doing well? Okay, that's nice, Katrin. Excited to see it all. So right here we can do the old trick that we did with the door too. Inset on I, E to extrude in. And we have something that resembles a window. Okay. Add these little planks up here at the top. If you want to go to like the front view or the side view, you can use the numpad for that. Or you can also use this little thing up here, so we can click to go to the side that we want to see it on from like an orthographic viewpoint. You can just make some actions a little bit easier. Okay, that's pretty cute. You can select all of those, Shift D, rotate it by 180 on the Z axis, and move it over. We can make these breaks here on the side of the house. Okay, we can sort of do something like that. Maybe a little bit too big, huh? Just go them both down. Then we can duplicate them. I can just duplicate all these again. Whoops. RZ 180, move it over to the other side. I guess that wouldn't really work, but it's fine. Okay, we're getting somewhere. It's starting to look pretty cute. We can go back in and we can like, we want to see everything in the X-ray view. We can see that. We can scale the island a little bit more appropriately. So I'm just gonna be modeling stuff now, and if you guys have questions, do let me know. I'll take you through all of it. Can add some boulders that sort of resemble rocks. So something like this. Just an icosphere is called. Then we can like kind of do this a little bit. Can use this window that we made to put up here. We can use the inset trick that we learned before. E to insert, or I to insert, E to extrude, and then we get a little balcony looking thing. It's going well. We can make a, so we can just keep duplicating the shape that we have already just to make it a bit faster. Can make a what's it called, skorsten. Chimney. Go ahead and duplicate this shape maybe. There we go, it's looking real nice. Okay. Let's keep it going, everybody. Hearts out to you all as well. Whoop. Should we make a boat? Okay, how about we make a boat then? So we can start with a plane. So this might be a little bit more complicated. This is for the people that want to challenge themselves a little bit. So I'm just gonna make like the base shape of the boat. So we're using the loop cut tool. Okay, make like a base shape for the boat. Then I can take this and extrude it up. And then I can just scale it. Maybe extrude it one more time. Scale it. Scale this. Scale that. Then, if you've been following along, you guess the next trick. Inset and extrude. Wow. Shade auto smooth, and there we have a little boat. How cute. Then if we want to adjust these edges a little bit, we can. shapes using very simple shapes. We kind of got somewhere with it. Whoop. Can add a little thing for the seating. Then we can select both of them and then move them. Thank you, close that. Whoop. Okay, great. We can start working on the bridge a little bit more, get that looking up to par with the rest of it. So we need some planks and stuff like that. So how about we actually go ahead and zero this bridge out in the rotation and work on it that way. So now we can move it up a little bit, and now we can start working on it. So let's make some planks first of all. So it's just a little bit easier to like cancel out the rotation that we did, because well, it's easier to work on the axes that are not rotated. Okay, we can just make some cubes. It's just duplicating cubes. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that at this point. And then we can scale this, move it out to get those planks that hold the whole thing together. There we go. And very quickly we have something that looks like a bridge. You can scale these in a little bit if you need to. Now we can move the whole everything down and rotate it to fit back. Okay, we can make a little life support thing, I think it looks like. So for that we can add a torus. Okay, so if we want to make the torus a little bit fatter, we can do that. There's a bunch of settings here. So minor radius up a little bit, and we can, so if we click shade auto smooth on this one, we kind of get the jagged edges. If we want it to be completely smooth, we can just click shade smooth. Okay, move it in. Very nice. Can start manipulating this island a little bit. Now, if we don't want these islands to be so perfectly like geometric in the shape, we can use a new tool here called proportional editing. So we can move around these points individually one by one, but if we want to make like more general kind of movements, we can enable proportional editing up here. And what that does is, in a radius, it will start affecting the other points around it too. Okay, so you click G, you can scroll on your mouse wheel to make that radius bigger or smaller, and you can start adjusting the shape as you wish. So G, GZ, and now you can kind of make this island whatever shape it is that you wish for. Oops. this a little bit island shaped, whatever that means. Oops. Okay, very nice, very nice. It's looking quite good. I think we got most of the elements already. Nice. Maybe we can add a little rocky thing here to kind of step down on. Like a little hill, kind of looks like there's something like that in the reference. Maybe a step outside. Something like that. We can give this door a little handle. So I'm just being, you know, there's so much stuff to do in 3D. I'm just being as economical as I can. Just copying stuff when I can get away with it. So there's a little handle on the door. Okay. Maybe can thin these out a little bit. Can copy over some rocks here. And we can actually look at what this looks like when we put the lights on it. So if you go top right, you can click right here with the viewport shading, and then you get this view with the lights, and you can move the lights around. Super nice. Okay, this is Eevee in Blender. I think by default maybe now. If you want the more like, if you wanted that realistic kind of look, what you gotta do is you gotta go into your render options here and switch this to cycles. And then my stream will start lagging because it's kind of intense on the PC, but it does give you like a more realistic look. You can also add new lights by clicking Shift A and then go to light. And then you can, for example, add a sunlight. If this was like a sun daytime scene, you can try that. You can go in and boost the intensity a little bit. 1.5, maybe make it a little bit warm. Oops. Okay. That is way too warm, by the way. So at this point we could keep modeling stuff out. Looks like there's some stones to step on. We can add those in as well. Okay, Shift D, G, Shift D, G, G's Shift Z. I got a little bit of a pathway right there. We can add some detail to these beams. It's very nice, very nice. Okay, well maybe now we can start thinking about adding some color to our stuff. Since there haven't been a huge amount of questions to stream, I'll assume that people are following along pretty well. So I'll just start, you know, playing around a little bit. Adding some color because we have time for it. So you can go in with like a big proportional edit and sort of make this stuff a little bit uneven. And then go in with a smaller one to make like little variations. Whoops. If you ever end up in this situation, a smart trick you can use is click on the face and then scale Z0. Basically scales it to 0. Kinda don't mind the look for the bottom though, it's kinda cool. Looks a little bit drippy. Well, let's just roll with that. So if you want to, you can hide all the top faces, and now you can go ahead and adjust the bottom ones with proportional edit without being worried about them affecting the top. So you see. You can go ahead and triangulate bottom here just so it doesn't mess with stuff too much. Okay, didn't like that. Also, what's happening is the bottom plane, because it's just topology and stuff, it's clipping through, so you can just select that, click delete, and then click delete faces. There you go. And kind of end up with that. We can also duplicate just the top or like one face. So if you go into edit mode and click Shift D, you can duplicate that. Okay. And you can E to extrude it down, and now we basically have like a little grassy field. If you click F3, you can search for a bunch of different options that you have with the modeling. So this is a little bit more advanced, but there's one called Select Linked with Control L. And then you can separate by selection. Separate by selection, so P, selection. And now we just took this and made that into a separate object. Cool stuff, cool stuff. We can do the same here. Shift D, duplicate that up. E to extrude it down. Select linked. So basically, because these two are not connected, you can select by the length and then separate them. So that's a little bit more complex. I wouldn't worry too much if that made no sense at all. Okay, it's looking very nice. And we can go ahead and add some materials and stuff just because we got the extra time, right? So on the right side here, there's this little ball when you select something. And in here, you can add what's called a material. And I'll be going over this a lot more in the next texturing stream. And in here, when you add a new material, you can change the color. Wow. So we can actually go ahead and color in all our stuff. So we can call this one sand, for example, or dirt would be appropriate. And then when we click a new object, we can search for sand and put it in. And maybe we can make a grass one here, grass. Okay, and then we can add grass up here too. Guess we can add sand for all of these. If we want to do it quickly, we can click Ctrl J to join them. So now they're one object, and then we can add the sand here. Ctrl J and then add sand. There we go, it's looking nice. These can all be joined together. Ctrl J, maybe this one has the sand too. Okay. And these ones can have a new one called like pathway. Okay, we can make a wooden material, wood. So I hope the people that have been watching the other boot camps are ready for this, because they have been doing it in the texturing one. And if you don't know what's going on, that's okay too. Follow along next time, because I'll be going over it more. So we can actually just connect these right here. Ctrl J and wood. These will have like a wood too. This is like wood gray. You see, it's like the material that's on all of those things. Wood gray. Oops. Go. I hope people have gotten some kind of result. I'd love to see it by the end of the stream, by the way. Usually I take a look at what everybody has been doing on the Discord. People post it, I look, and it's super fun and super nice. We can just join all this stuff together. Give it wood. Okay, these can be joined together. Ctrl J, and then we can add a new one called gray brick. There we go, it's looking really nice. This whole bridge can be joined together. Call it. There we go. Boat, we can join that together. Shade auto smooth if it fucks up. Wood. Looking nice. Okay, we can make a material for this roofing called roofing. It's kind of like very saturated blue. Roofing, and then these two. The chimney gets the gray brick. There we go. Now we end up in an issue. There's no worry, we can just copy this over, flatten it a little bit. And now we can give this one the gray brick. Smart little way to get away with it. Okay. So you can go ahead and do all of this stuff. We can call this window material. Window. Can join all those together. Wood. Wood. So lots of wood here. Okay, now we need the most visible color of them all, the red. So how do we give this a red material when there's nothing to select? Well, we can add some trusty edge loops where we want the color. So, and then alt select, and now you can actually make multiple materials on one thing, and then you can assign that material to a selection in your edit mode. So we can call this red, very creative. We can add it up here, red, red. Go back in and maybe lower the saturation a little bit, and this can be called white. Okay, very nice. Okay, that's looking very cute. This one should be yellow too. Yellow. Just gonna make this house a little bit white. Alright, alright. There we go, that's nice, everybody. Now we can go back and, like, if we want to adjust this grass color, for example, you can go back in and you can adjust it right here. Go in and adjust the sand color. And then there's like the roughness value, right? So you can adjust how shiny something is. If it's very rough, it's not shiny. Very nice. Can add one more light maybe for the final. We go ahead and go cycles. I need to boost the sun, all that. There we go, that's cool. Okay. Okay, everybody, we're getting near the end here. So I'm gonna post a picture of what I have, and I hope other people will be doing the same. If you want to know how I did that, hold up, let me get out of here. Go to render settings at the bottom, something called color management, and you can set the contrast here. Okay, you can disable all the UI things with this button up here. Okay, and then if you want to take a screenshot of what's in your viewport, you go to View and then Viewport Render Image. If you're an Eevee, it should just work. Viewport Render Image, there you go, you got a cute little scene. For me, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to cycles, and then I'll take a screenshot, and then I'll post that in the Discord. Okay, there we go. So I have my own thing for screenshots. Copy that. And I hope to see what other people have been doing in the Discord. You know, guys, it doesn't have to be finished. If you have anything at all, I'd love to see it. That's kind of what we do on the stream, right? We just look at what people have been doing. Oh, this angle is very cute too. So you go right here, compose that. Ooh. Oh, I see a bunch. I see a bunch. Wait, I don't want to spoil it quite yet. Oh. Okay, I think that's nice. Showcases all the work we did. Okay, and I'll say here's the model we made together on stream of it. Okay, and I do hope you all enjoy today's stream. Okay, let's start from the top. I'm excited for this. I already see it. Nice job, Katrin, as always. Got all the right vibes in there. Nice. Bravo to you. I see the rendering on the water. I guess you already put some kind of transmission on it or something. That's why it's looking like that. Good job, bravo to you. Happy you followed along again. You kind of got those planks more on the, what's it called? On the tower itself. I didn't really get those that way, but it's nice. Get a heart from me. Even got the little round thing on the door. That's cool. Itmations. Very nice. You got all the modeling done. And then I hope you'll follow next time and we can put some materials on it too. That looked lovely with some colors on it. Very good job. You even got the boat in there. That's cool. Bravo. I like that. Hope you learned something. Okay, let's keep going. Curve. Nice. Okay, you got some materials on there. Happy to see that. You followed along as well. I hope you learned something too. Looks very cute. These are all very cute. I love this concept. I think they all turned out very nice. You get a heart from me. Good job, everybody. I think you guys can pat yourselves on the back. I think this stuff right here, Curve, you see on the ground and on these here, it probably happens if I go back. So if I show my UI again, if it's just clicked shade smooth, it kind of does that. So if you go right click and then click shade auto smooth, you'll get that edge on there. Bravo, everybody. Very nice. Very proud of you all today. Good job. Okay. That's it for me for today. I thought this was nice. I kind of want to do a similar concept another day too. We'll be working on it again next time though. Yeah, good job everybody. So next time is going to be texturing, and we'll probably be pulling up the same concept again, and we'll continue working on it. If you didn't follow along today or whatever, I'll be posting my own for people to kind of continue working on with me. So I hope I'll see you all again next Wednesday, same time, same place. I hope you learned something today, got something out of today. So yeah, good rest of the evening to you all. Hope to see you. Bye bye. It's nice hanging out and all that. See ya. Ciao. Yeah, see ya.